It is rare to find so much industry expertise all in one spot, right at your fingertips. The world of public adjusting and insurance claims can be a scary one. This changes now. That's why we built this podcast for you, where all the industry experts converge. Let us be your guide to education and personal growth. You're listening to Because Experience Matters, the show for public adjusters who want to up their game. Hosted by the 2021 Public Adjuster of the Year, Jack Hanks. How much money are you leaving on the table by not knowing all the approaches you can take to maximize the payouts to the insured and profits for your business? On this show, you will discover untapped strategies to become an unstoppable public adjuster and an effective advocate for your clients. In every episode, Jack brings on all the industry big dogs, including leading roofers, contractors, lawyers, accountants, and marketers. You'll access the insider scoop, real case studies, real obstacles, and actionable winning solutions. Let's jump in so that you can stop working hard and start working smart.
All right, guys, welcome. Another podcast, Because Experience Matters. I am your host, Jack Hanks, with Velocity Public Adjusting. Exciting stuff today because Joseph Hughes of Contractor Dynamics is on today. And I have to give you probably don't know this, but I'm going to spring this on you right up front here. Right? I don't know if you remember this, right when the pandemic hit, like, was it 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago? I was on your podcast.
Yep.
I was sitting in my backyard with my hat by my pool, and the world was changing right in front of us. We had no idea what the hell's going on. And I was doing a lot of posts on Facebook, selfies, and doing this stuff, but I wasn't doing any video. And I can actually tell you that podcast changed my trajectory on my career 1,000%.
Wow.
During that, seriously, I got chills right now because it was such an amazing. You said, Jack, start doing videos. And I'm like, I don't do any freaking videos. I'm 50-some years old. I'm balding. You know what I mean? You said, no, dude, just try doing some videos. And we talked about it for a few minutes. And lo and behold, I was busy then. But the videos have, man, it established our brand. It established me. It took us to the moon, man. And I honestly, I give you 1,000% credit on that. I never probably would have done it without you telling me to do that. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I probably owe you a couple $1 million right now, but we won't talk about that. So
we can settle that after the show. Yeah. I'll have my people talk to your people. Yeah. Well, no, that's amazing. I never knew that. I remember that when the pandemic hit, I was doing a daily Facebook Live at 3 o'clock Eastern from my bedroom office, because we're all at home.
Yeah. We had no idea none of us were like, now what do we do? Right.
Yeah. It's just like, well, let me just get out there and communicate with people. And that was, that's great to do anytime in business, but especially that time in the world. And kudos to you for implementing, because, I say that I preach that from everywhere I go, and not many people implement it. So that's awesome.
Once you get the first one done, and once you just got to get rid of your inhibitions, and you put yourself out there, because we don't. You got to be ready to have your flaws captured, right? And you're out there for the world to see, and you're going to say dumb stuff, and you're going to stutter, and spit's going to fly out of your mouth, and you're going to be in some. But that's okay, man. It's human stuff, right?
It makes you real. Yeah. That's what we all do. And that's authenticity. And that's what wins.
Yeah. I love that, man. It's, the funny part, I do these videos now, and I'll be at trade shows, and they'll come up and they'll go, oh my, I didn't know how big you were. And like, you're a lot nicer in person than you seem in your videos. I'm like, gosh, I probably should clean it up sometimes and tone it down. But yeah, no, I give you, so thank you for that. I mean, that means, I wanted to spring that on you this morning because it literally changed. It really enhanced my career to a whole different level. And when I do stuff, I try to be thoughtful, and I try to give information. It's not about selling stuff, right? It's just more about, hey man, here's some information, and what do you do? And it's so important, right?
Yeah. Building trust. And I think one of the things that you probably do, and it's just so easy for everyone to think about, if you're looking to get into video and you're like, I don't know what to say. All right. Think about this one question. What do I know that my market does not know that can help them improve their situation, right? Whether it's business, life, claims, marketing, whatever. Like we all know these things that we think are so basic because we do them every day, but people in your market don't, right? So think about that. And that's the start for your content.
Yeah, and it could be, I mean, my first videos, I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? And
They're
now
gonna
I got this
suck.
fancy background, these big microphones and all these cameras, and we're all legit now. But the first one's done literally with just like, hey man, I'm on a roof, it's EPDM, they got hit with hail, here's what we're doing to get it covered. And then I get 10 calls. I did another one, I get 20 calls. Next thing you know, we're a year into this thing and we produced 700 claims our first year. And honestly, 99% of it's because what we do, we work hard and do good work, but the videos are just a great way to brand this thing. Everybody knows this stuff. Like I'll be in airports and like, Hanks, oh my God, it's, my family hates it, but they like flying first class too. So it's one of those things.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Cool.
Dad, I didn't know you were cool. Yeah.
Well, they don't think I'm cool yet, right? So yeah, you know how it is.
Well, you know what? You actually said something there that's probably so natural to you by now, right? You talked about, hey, we're on this EPDM roof, and here's what we're doing to get it, to get it processed, and that sort of thing. You're telling a little bit of a story about that project, not just being like, hey man, we're out here on this baller roof, we got this monster roof, and that's it. That's what most people do.
Right.
Like stories that's where it's at. That's what people can relate to,
Yep. And give knowledge back, and like give the more we give, the more we get back. It's crazy,
it really is. It might not be right away, but if you've seen pretty, a couple of years, like that's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it's nuts. So let's go back pre-Contractor Dynamics, man. Our backgrounds are similar. Both of our dads were contractors, right?
Yes. Contracting company. Yeah. I grew up in my family's business, Hughes Marine Firm, still going strong today. They started in 1894.
Holy moly. In Jersey,
yeah, that's crazy, right? So 128 years old, I guess, if that. So yeah, I grew up as a sixth generation family member in that business and started when I was 14. Not roofing, it is maritime construction. So barges, tugboats, if you're building a bridge or repairing a bridge or like a pier or, any marine infrastructure, there's a lot of maritime equipment needed. So that's the business. So I grew up, my first job was when I was 14. I went up to Brooklyn, New York, where the shipyard is still today. And man, I was banging rust off of tugboats. I was, scraping mussels off the boats. I was painting barges. I was welding steel, driving a forklift, driving a tugboat, like pretty fun stuff when you're a teenager,
Yeah.
So that's how I got my start in the construction world.
No kidding. That business is still going on now, right? That's still a thing.
Yeah, they're thriving. Yep. My dad and my two uncles are the owners, and they've got an office here in New Jersey. The shipyard's in Brooklyn. They operate up and down the East Coast, and they're doing great. Yeah.
What's crazy? Like we never think about that's a job.
Absolutely. It's one of those industries that is gigantic, like huge, and it operates behind the scenes unless you're on the waterways and you see it. But, it's how things get built. It's also how things get transported, right? We know like container ships and things like that. But like, if anyone's in the Midwest and the Mississippi River, you see the barges and tugboats like going up and down. Like that's the backbone of a lot of America. So it's fun. It's cool.
That's really neat. Yeah. And, dude, hard work when you're a kid pays off in the long run, man. Cause I remember hauling pipes and drilling. I mean, I couldn't do that crap now to save my soul. But man, when I was 15, 16, I was making $8, $9, $10 an hour, man. I'm thinking, holy crap, this is the way to go. Right.
Yeah. Looking back, I'm so thankful for that. Yeah, we got paid cash. It was nice. Get the envelope of cash at the end of the week. And
that's non-union or is
non-union. Most of New York City construction is union. We're non-union. But yeah, like the value of that hard work. I mean, I have a good work ethic today, probably because of that, and that's valuable.
How old are your kids, man? They're pretty young, right?
Our son just turned 7. Our daughter just turned, our son just turned 10. Our daughter just turned 7. So yeah.
What are they looking at what dad's doing? Like, this is kind of cool, or they want no part of it or what?
They have no clue. It's like, I try to have the conversation, with my son now that he's 10. Now that he's 10, we're trying to, and you'll probably notice you have older kids, like trying to prepare him for the world ahead, right? He's got like, 8 years left, under our roof, give or take. And it's like, all right, well, now
Never
you're
really
10.
go
Like,
away, Joe. That's the problem. So
that's fine. I hope they don't, we have yeah, I don't want them to leave, but it's like, hey, how can we prepare you, for the world ahead? And just trying to have those more adult conversations. Like, this is what I do. I don't think that it really clicks, but I try to explain, if I'm working late one night, or, certainly when I go travel, I'm like, hey, this is, it's not like I'm going on vacation and playing golf.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm teaching, and I tie it into, they're in school, of course. So I'm like, well, basically I'm a teacher, I'm an educator for our market. So I try to tie it into things that they can understand and give them those lessons, so that they, maybe little seeds that get planted that will, benefit them down the road in life.
I couldn't imagine being a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old now. All the crap, every time you turn the news on, there's some new event that's just horrifying. And then the COVID stuff. Like my son and daughter, my daughter just graduated. My son graduated last year from U of A. They were in school for a year and a half, man. They were not in a classroom. Can you, like, and your kids are even younger. There has to be some, like, they miss so much a part of their childhood sitting at
Mhm.
home on a computer. It sucks, man. I couldn't imagine being that age and having to deal with the stuff they have to deal with, you know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that they had it, I don't want to say easy, but like, I think their lives were affected maybe less than kids that are in high school or college. They're missing proms, they're missing the college experience. Yeah, our kids, they were home virtual for a year plus, kind of a half day sort of situation. And, probably they all fell behind a little bit, and they're not loving it, but they're doing like a little summer, not really summer school, but kind of like summer school program that our town is offering through the public schools, just to kind of,
Yeah.
keep them sharp and just, catch up a little bit. They do well, but it's like, we all lost something.
Oh,
And so we gotta, you gotta stay sharp. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the world, man. A lot of things that you need to be. My wife and I are very intentional about, like, what types of things we're teaching them, and if things are getting too crazy in school, we're talking about potentially homeschooling. Like, we want to make sure that we're, taking initiative on that, being intentional with that.
yeah. Well, that's what I found. The more honest and real I am with my kids, the more we connected, and the more they become grounded and understand things. It's when you try to sugarcoat stuff, or because sometimes things suck.
Yeah,
Period.
yeah,
And they got to get, and not they got to get used to it, but they got to understand it. Man, sometimes stuff just sucks, and you got to be able to, like, pick yourself up and dust off and go. And some things you won't be able to understand, like the shooting in Texas. You won't be able to understand that. There's no way in hell we can even put that into words. But they gotta. It's just tough. And the more real I was with my kids, the older they got, they kind of found that stable ground where they know they have a safe place, and we can talk openly about pretty much anything. And sometimes I don't want to hear some of the stuff they want to talk about, but that's a different story. But yeah, being a parent's a huge, it's more important than anything we can ever do. This contracting stuff and this video and this is easy compared to being a parent. My God.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I just had a conversation last week with my son about that. He's big into baseball, and he's been going through, he hasn't been hitting like at his level that he usually hits. Basically been in a slump for a couple of weeks, right? And it's frustrating, everyone goes through it, and he's beating himself up, and I'm horrible, this, that, the other thing, and I'm never gonna get out of it. And it's just so interesting how, as as a business owner, as a leader, entrepreneur, like, how many of the lessons that we go through and we learn, we're able then to, like, be able to better coach and lead our our kids.
Yep.
And I said, hey, I'll be honest with you, like, this month, May, has been a very, very challenging month in our business. There's some transitions that we're going through, just things that we're fixing and whatnot. Like, it's been we've gotten kicked in the teeth a little bit, honestly, this month. And so I told him that. I was like, it's been really stressful, going through some challenges and problems. And, I'm just taking one day at a time, just staying positive, and knowing that, we're going to get through these things in the business, and you'll get through the same, with batting. Like, just take it one day at a time, focus on the process. And so, I don't know if that lands on a 10-year-old, but, like, it's cool to see how you sometimes you're like, man, why am I going through these problems, these challenges and whatnot in life, business, whatever. And it's like, well, maybe it's because it's giving me the strength to then be able to lead others and guide them through their challenges that they're inevitably going to
Oh, for
face.
sure.
So
Well, it's never as bad as it is that when something like when you're in the middle of something, man, it seems like the world's caving in on you. It's once you kind of get on the other, it's never as bad as it feels it is. And it's never as good as it really is, right? There's, you know what I mean? It's the highs and the lows. And, and
yes.
my biggest thing is when I go through tough times, when I was a contractor, I got my ass kicked in constantly, millions of dollars flying around. Like, and I just get up every morning and do it again the best I can. And then I've learned that as long as I keep doing the right thing, it may not always work out, but at least I can go to sleep and wake up the next day with a fresh perspective on it. Because that's when people get bogged down in their own stuff and they can never get out of it. And man, life isn't very easy sometimes. People think, I'm sure everybody looks at them. Your job's cool. You get to fly around and train and do videos. You're still running a freaking business.
Yeah.
With all the
Yeah.
stuff that goes on with that, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts, and we didn't sign up for easy, right? You got to remember that too. Like, this is what we signed up for. We are, by definition, like problem solvers, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
Let's talk about that. Tell me what exactly you guys do. I mean, I know, but let's tell our audience exactly what Contractor Dynamics does, because it's everybody. I mean, we have some common clients and common friends that swear by you, man, which is a testament. So let's talk about that.
Cool. Yeah. So I think that we are guilty. I am guilty of putting out a lot of content, but not so it's not so good at letting people know exactly what we do. That's because I'm more of a marketing guy and not like a sales guy. I'm hitting you with offers and things like that. So we are a marketing training company. So a lot of the industry will be familiar with sales training. There's obviously a lot of different options out there, a lot of great options out there, in person, virtual, and whatnot. We do marketing training. So we train contracting companies on how to build out a marketing machine in their business. So that's, number one, like identifying, what it is they want, their ideal clients, their ideal projects, getting crystal clear on that, and then creating content and maybe running ads, social media ads, tying everything together into a lead handling, follow-up and nurture system, brand building. So like they have that capability inside their company. And yeah, that's what we do. Small companies, large companies.
Now, do you do the work for them, or do you teach them how to do the work?
We don't do any work. No. We teach them how to fish. We're not giving them the fish. We teach them how to fish. And so they understand like how marketing works. How do I do it? How do I run ads? Now, I will say that most of our clients still work with like an outside marketer or marketing agency that, help them out with some of those technical aspects.
Yeah.
Like Google Ads or SEO or websites certainly are, more technical, but at their core, they're playing basically. If you're a contracting company, and this is a great example, we just got off a call with one of our clients. She's the marketing manager at a roofing company. And so basically she is the general contractor for all the marketing that goes on, right? So she's dealing with the web company, the SEO company, they do billboards, the radio, TV. So you have all these kind of subcontractors doing all these different marketing activities that aren't necessarily related or part of a cohesive plan, unless you have someone inside the roofing company, like this marketing manager, who is general contracting all of that, right? She's got a plan, she's got a budget, she's looking at the data and tracking things and measuring things, looking at the ROI, making sure things are tying together. And so that's going to help your marketing dollars like stretch a lot farther than if you just have all these random people. Like imagine, building a building and you have no GC. It's just a bunch of subs that show up and, they try to piece it together. It's going to be a mess and very inefficient. It's going to take forever. Same thing with marketing. So that's kind of the structure that we operate in.
Can you talk about branding and what a powerful, I didn't really get it until the last few years. Branding is it's such a big deal that most people don't take advantage of that. So we teach our classes and stuff. I tell these guys, like, you got to kind of define who you are and build around that. Right. So, I picked this experience matters thing. I've been doing this for 30 some years. So the experience thing is kind of on my side. And I built my whole thing around it. And it's amazing when you just focus on what the hell that is and it just goes. Can you talk about how strong, if you don't have a brand identity, how like it's got to be a big deal, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's kind of hard to define, maybe hard to
Yeah.
measure the ROI, and it's not always straightforward. And it means a lot of different things to a lot of people, right? You hear the word brand, and you might be thinking like, all right, I got yard signs, I got my trucks wrapped, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But really, the essence of a brand is like how you're viewed by people before they actually come in contact with you, right? So what's the VPA brand? What's the contractor? Like, what do people think of Contractor Dynamics? They are the company that does this or that, or they take care of you. They have great customer service. Think about the brands that you love to buy from, right? It's, the Nikes, the Under Armour, the
Yep.
Lululemon, the Apple, Amazon. Amazon's not really a brand, but you have this trust for a brand that they're going to deliver, and they're going to, do what they say they're going to do and hold up their end of the bargain. And that's what building a brand is all about. It's your reputation. It's getting people to know that you exist, know what types of problems you solve, and building that trust. Like, we're all in the business of trust, and brand helps to build that trust. So it is essential. It's not something that you're going to start like building your brand today and you're going to generate a whole bunch of leads
Right.
tomorrow, but it's about, making people aware of you, building that know, like, and trust, so that when you get introduced to someone, it's referral, or you're generating leads online, or, social media, whatever it is, there's already that trust factor, and people are like predisposed to wanting to at least talk with you because they see you as a trusted advisor and not just any old roofing company or any old PA. So that's the essence of what a brand is all about.
So my next question is consistency. Like, I struggle with this. Like, I want to post something every 5 minutes of my life because I have all this great stuff going on.
Yeah.
We have all these big claims, and then I struggle because I literally have 8 things a day. I want to, like, oh man, we just did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. And I don't want to like, I don't want to look like we're bragging, but at the same time, I'm so damn proud of what we're doing. I struggle on how much stuff to put out there and how much is, I don't want to look to be as the bragger guy PA, right? I want to look
Right.
at just, oh my God, they're doing great stuff. It's not such a freaking balance there, isn't it? Dear God.
It is totally. I was on a call earlier this week about that. Like, how much should you be celebrating your wins?
Yeah.
Things like that. And I think like the way to frame that is, if anyone's familiar with Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand, that book and kind of philosophy, your client is the hero and you are their guide, right? So you're not painting yourself as the hero. You're highlighting your projects, highlighting your clients, highlighting the situation. You're just kind of the guide that's making it happen. So I think that can help, help there. And then when when your intentions are pure and you want to provide value and educate, like, especially on video, people can see that, right? Like, that's why video is so important, because people can see and get a sense of like, is this guy for real or is he a phony? And so that's it on kind of the mindset. As far as like putting yourself out there 8 times a day, you're not really going to overload people. Like, if you post 8 times a day, I might see 2 of them, Jack. Like, I'm not going to see all 8, right? So you're not going to overwhelm me with content. I said it in a post a couple weeks ago. You're only going to annoy people if your content is annoying, but like, not with the frequency, not with the frequency of it.
Really? Okay.
And yeah, as far as consistency, if for anyone out there, like, I think most of the market, most of, say, the roofing industry, their problem isn't like they have too much stuff to post. They're like, okay, I get it, I should post every day, but I don't know what to post. Well, it's about coming down to building out a calendar for yourself and just having that and holding yourself accountable and trusting that process. So I have a pretty regimented calendar for when I post and how many times a day and things like that. Just getting into that process, it takes some of the thinking out of it, because it becomes part of your everyday, what you do. It just becomes part of what you do.
Is there anything like bad content? Is that even a thing, or is everything counts? Like, is everything like, there's no, what's that saying? There's no bad press as long as you're getting press. Is there same?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be congruent with your brand, right? It's got to be congruent with the way that you want to be perceived and positioned in your market. So like, for example, like, I don't put out a lot of like, hey, contact us now, free estimate, free inspection, sale. Like, you got to be careful about those types of things, because do you want to be known as the low cost guy, or the guy that's always offering discounts and things like that, or the guy who's always on on your feed selling, like on social media. We're not on there to buy stuff, right? So we might want to buy, we might want help with a problem, but we don't want to be sold. Like people want to buy, they don't want to be sold. So don't be out there always selling, because then people are just gonna start ignoring you. And
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, it's tempting because you can, potentially make a quick sale here or there, but like you got to zoom out in the long run. If you're providing value and not asking for the sale, maybe asking for the sale like once every 10 posts or something like that, or, contact us today or call to action. That's cool. But like, you got to find that balance. So
One thing that frustrates me about Facebook and Instagram and everything else is there's a lot of there's in our profession, as much as anyone's, there's not a lot of great PAs out there.
okay.
There's not a lot of great roofers out there as well. There's a lot of really good ones. But I think the biggest problem is you can be a Facebook phony on this stuff. And then it comes down to it, you implode because number one, your business isn't set up to handle it. And number two is you don't have the structure to do it. We talked at the beginning of about 15 minutes ago, you talked about the business struggles you're having in May. So I think a lot of guys get ahead of themselves because marketing and brand, I think it's fun and it's fairly simple. As long as you're consistent, just keep doing it. And the hard part is getting the work done. And I think a lot of guys are not, or companies are not prepared to handle stuff when it comes in. They're looking for that quick check, and it's not about the check. It's about the process of it all. Can you kind of talk about the kind of struggles you've been going through and what you're doing to look at that? And was it because of too much work coming in, or what was the actual situation there? Not to get too personal, but
no, I'm one of the things I'm working on with my own content, like to be transparent, is being more vulnerable, because that's how people connect. And it's like, no one's perfect. And yeah, like it certainly in the roofing industry, a lot of like it's could be easy to make sales, to sell roofs, especially with storm restoration. Like it's a pretty straightforward thing, but it's like, do you have the systems? Do you have the the quality control? Do you have the crews? You have like, the whole thing. And I think that, you see a lot of companies that start off strong and they're out there and they're able to bang on doors and make sales and sell a few million. Then, you don't hear from them for a while. You're like, they must be, struggling to build those projects, not, and just, kind of that dip. Like I think Seth Godin, the author, talks about that dip. Like you start off and then there's that dip and you got to make it through that dip.
Yep.
And then you got to, break through the other side. So for us, it was, somewhat similar. I mean, we've been in business for 9 years, so we've got some, a little bit, it's not like we're just starting out, but I was on the road for, 8 weeks or so, for a month and a half, pretty much different events and things like that. And, it was, selling season, and we brought on a lot of good clients, and we're still a small company. So, business runs when I'm on the road, and sales are made and clients are served and things happen and all that sort of thing. But like being on the road, as you don't really get to work on the business. And so, I'd be gone for 3 days of the week and then home for 2. And while I'm home in the office those 2 days, it's kind of like doing whatever I need to do that day to, whack-a-mole sort of thing. And you're never really like sitting down and getting into that deep work and working on the processes. So this month we've slowed down on sales a little bit, somewhat intentionally. And we're like, all right, we need to make sure that our fulfillment, for us, we call it fulfillment, for roofers, it'll be production, is like amazing, right? Because we don't, we're not just in this to make sales. We don't want to be the last thing we want to be is just another marketing company that, sells you a dream and doesn't deliver. And so we want to do everything we can to make sure that our clients are winning, they're showing up, they're doing the work. And, we're not providing marketing services. Like this is a training thing. Like we will meet our clients halfway, but they need to meet us halfway and hold up their end of the bargain. So we're working a lot on our processes and communication and touch points, and just really call it like romancing our clients, so that they win and they stay with us a long time and everyone wins. So that's been it's cool. It's exciting. It's a lot of work, and work that I didn't do while, I was on the road for 8 weeks or so.
No, well, yeah, I think, trade show season kills all of us because it's one of those things you have to go there. Like we
Right.
have to be at SRC and SVG and these other ones, and we do, and we go, and then you get so focused on entertaining your clients that you do take the foot. It's hard to keep the foot on the gas all the way around.
Right.
I'm like, we have a pretty good staff here, but man, it's the same time that if I'm not like looking at all this stuff 24/7, something always seems to be slipping one way or another. It's just you got to keep consistent with that. I struggle with that too, man. It's hard because we'll go do a training in Nashville for 3 days and then bop over for a trade show for 4 days, and then you get home on a Thursday night and you're wiped the hell out, because you're on when you're on the road. You are on. You're basically, the spotlight is on Joseph Hughes, and it's a lot, and you're just it's draining, right? I mean, the energy's gone. Wait to get my age, bro. It gets worse.
Well, no, I totally agree. I mean, most people would not would be surprised. I think I'm an introvert, right? So, and I love being around people and those events. Yeah, it's sun up. Usually I'm doing like a run or a workout with someone at the hotel in the morning. Yep. So that's like 5:30, and then you're going to bed at 10:30. It's like, it's nonstop. Yeah. So this is a second year in a row I did this to myself. I just overdid it. I burnt myself out. And so the most recent event, I was in Ohio and Dayton, Ohio. And you got, Sumo Quote, right?
Yep.
So Sumo Quote was at the booth next to ours, and Ryan Shantz is the owner. I love Ryan, awesome guy. Ryan was not there. He had a 23-year-old kid named Zach who was there. And Zach is very smart, very outgoing, ran the booth, spoke on stage actually for a little bit. And I'm like, I need a Zach, it's like I'm burning myself out going to these events. Like, so that's something that we're implementing this year, is kind of a mini like trade show team, so I can, fly in and, do a breakout session, or if I'm on a panel or something like that, I'll do my thing, have some dinners, have some meetings, whatever. But I just, at this point, I can't do everything anymore, sit at a booth for 3 days and do that thing. So
we literally had the same conversation a month. So we're doing the same thing. So
okay.
I've been very lucky. I've got some really great guys in Texas now, and we've added several, and I got 2 young kids that are working here, and they it's time that they can start doing some of the reins as well, because like you said, I was at SVG. We were there for I was in that booth 20 some hours straight, and I'm still, we're still got claims coming in and doing it. It's almost too much, because it's overwhelming sometimes, and then you're drinking wine, eating steak all night. Not, that sounds horrible, right? But at the same time, it is hard, and it's, and to be able to pass the torch too. Like, one thing I've learned is, I have a partner that does all the back office stuff, and he's trying to get me to the point where I can start letting some of this stuff go. Because you feel like me, you're type A, and you want to have, this is your vision, right? You want to like I need about every little thing. Well, you get to that point, you start trusting staff and people. And if you don't, you're never going to get to that next level, because you can't work 175 hours a week and be efficient. You can work 60 hours a week and be great. But man, you got to have that Sunday afternoon and that Saturday and that the baseball game with your kids to kind of, it's hard to be on all the time, dude. I struggle with that, because I'm a type A only child Gemini. And that is, dude, that's a lot, right? And I've learned, I'm getting so much better, like the last couple months, of just taking time and grabbing a bottle of wine and going to the patio and just like, what, relaxing and letting, I can't fix everything right now. And that's my hardest lesson I've learned. It's just, everything isn't always like right now,
Yeah. In this industry, I'm sure it can be like that. Yeah. No, I agree. It's about getting really clear on what you want in different stages of life. Right. So I know that, I know how many hours I want to work during the week. And I know that I value other things like family time and downtime. So I'm fine if my business grows a little bit more slowly right now at this stage of my life. But, along with that, we're also implementing EOS and building out a leadership team and delegating and elevating. I tell my team all the time, like, I don't, as much as I'm the public face of it, as far as the videos and things like that, I don't want this company to be the Joe show. Right. So it's like, I want the team to be much stronger than me. So that's that's a big focus of ours this year is building out that team. So creating the leverage, right? And part of that is like, you, Jack, you might think that like, all your clients want to talk with you or work with you. I'm sure they do. And I might think that, our clients just want to talk with me and all that sort of thing. But you get to the point when you realize that like our clients are actually better served by talking with someone else who has the bandwidth, who can follow up appropriately, who can dedicate the time. And when you get to that point, letting that ego go and like, well, yeah, they're better served by talking with Dan or Elizabeth or someone. And, I'm always here. I'm a phone call away or a text message away or whatever, but like, you're going to be working with this person. So that's what I think a lot of people need to realize. We don't want to build ourselves, paint ourselves into a corner and have a, really stressful job. We want to become true business owners.
Right.
And I'm not a true business owner right now. Yeah, I can step away for a week or, go to a conference season, but I realized what broke while I was, on the road. So now we're working on that.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy kind. We're going through the same stuff here. Like we're building this thing, and it's, every day it's like one new little thing. So we've gotten the customer service thing was a big. So December of last year, when I had to come up with a vision of what we want to be for this year, my thing was I want Velocity to be the most respected PA firm in the country. Period. By our clients and even by the insurance companies. We want to be respected by them too, because we don't want to be looked at as these used car gouging PAs, right? We want to be consistent and solid with our stuff. And I'll tell you what, man, the minute we all jumped in that ship and started doing that, and these EOS meetings, man, what a life changer, man.
You guys are implementing it?
Yeah, we did. It's our second year now.
Cool.
Yeah, we started doing it in the last year. So what people don't, the thing with that though, it took me a while to realize that thing's not EOS ain't about me or you. It's about the people doing the freaking work, Yeah. Our job, Joe, is to dump all our stuff out of our head, our vision, and then let these guys who are the task managers take it and run with it. And I struggle with that because I was used to doing everything by myself, and that's just that's the challenge within us, and to let that go and to trust people and let them fall on their face a few times and get their head kicked in at the that's the hard part, because they got to get through that, right? That's
cool. So if you guys are you working with a EOS implementer?
Yeah, my partner is all about that. He's been through, that's his role.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've been real lucky. So I found an integrator, right? So I'm the fast-paced thing,
visionary.
Yeah, 100%. And Doug, my job is it's on my phone. Every time I have some stupid idea, I dump it in there, and then we go through it. About 40% of them are like, no. And the other 6% were like, let's start doing that, right? And the podcast is one of them. I wanted to do a podcast last year, and it took us about 6 months, but we got it all packed. And the cool part is I've learned to slow down.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I would have started this podcast on the back of my truck and it would have been this cool, right?
Right.
But we took our time, we got the things set up, we got the cool, all this stuff, and that's what we had to do. And I've learned that it's okay to be slow and great instead of being fast and clean up a mess. Cleaning up a mess behind me isn't always the best thing to do. And I think that's a lot of our entrepreneurs struggle with that, because we are always on, right? That's hard.
Yeah. What do they say in the Navy SEALs? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I found that to be the case in my business too. And I have a business coach, and he helps me with that a lot, right? It might be, as you mentioned before, when you're going through some issue, it's like, the world is right here. It's so small and you're just focused on this, but you got to like take a step back, zoom out and look at like, okay, what are we building for the next, what's the next 18 months look like? Or, what's that next level we're trying to get to? Does what, I'm doing now, does that work at, if we have 20 clients now, does this work at 100 clients? Cause that's where we're going. So yeah, that's huge. And one thing that's helped me with the EOS and the delegation is Elizabeth on our team is going to be our integrator, kind of, growing into that role this year. And I still have this, like, I have like this guilt around delegating things to her or anyone, right?
We're the same person. We are the
right.
Same.
Cause I'm like, I've always done it. I feel like if I'm delegating this, I'm like, the dictator or whatever. I'm open with her about that. I'm like, hey, that's just how I feel, right? I have things I want to delegate to you, but I feel bad because I'm not sure how much is on your plate, that sort of thing. I don't want to, make you do things that I don't really want to do. And so if you feel that I'm like holding things to myself that you or someone else in the team should be doing, call me out. Let me know.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that I've done and she'll be like, why are you doing those things? I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I should. She's like, you can't continue to do those things if we want to go to where we want to go. And that's, really mature of her to be able to say that, to me. So yeah, that's helped a lot, being just transparent about, hey, I know I have this tendency. If you see it, call me out on it, because like I said, it's not about me, it's about the mission.
It's dude, we have the same struggles and the same, because I literally just want to do all the damn stuff myself, because I'm like, and then like, you know what, I'm never going to be, we're never going to be huge and great if it doesn't work. Ford Motor Company, it wasn't Henry Ford on the assembly line. It was his vision and thought that all these people came together and made all this stuff cool. Dude, it's a daily struggle, and I find myself I'm learning a lot. I'm 10 times better. It's cool because I can see myself growing and letting stuff. And as I let things go, it starts to blossom, right? And then it's just it's such a dynamic catch-22 for both sides of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
One of the things that has really helped me is my podcast and interviewing a lot of smart people and successful people. Some of the more successful and bigger roofing company owners that I've sat down with, either in person or virtually, you realize, especially when you're in their office, like, they're not they're not running around crazy all day, right? They're focused on growing leaders and developing leaders and leading their team. And, they're not on the roof. They're not in the truck. They're not, whatever. They're not answering phones. So looking at those guys that have, some of these giant companies that as well, it's like, all right, well, that's what it takes. Like, they're focused on growing leaders, and their drive is to provide, for the people that work for them, for the crews, for the families, like serve the community, that sort of thing. So that gives me a lot of insight. So having a podcast is a good way to kind of, to learn a lot of things.
Well, dude, I take notes the whole time, and I and I'm like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Because if we're not growing, we just get stagnant. And I think a lot of people say they want to grow and then they don't really want to grow because it's hard. It's hard looking at yourself going, you know what, I've been pretty damn successful, but I've also limited myself by trying to do everything, and then like I said, the cool part about what we're in, like we have a lot of the same clients, and these guys, they're not roofing guys. They are businessmen who do roofing as a business. That's a complete different thing. It's Nick Forcell's one of them. We have one of our best friends, both of us, and he's a business guy. He's not a roofer, right?
Right. He knows a ton about roofing, but he's not the guy doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a key. So what I see is like, the Crest and the Knicks and all these bigger companies, they're not the ones, they're not talking to ABC Supply about getting the next bundle of shingles delivered. They're the ones growing it, like they're empowering their people to be like you said, to be leaders and we all should learn from that, because that's our biggest challenge as entrepreneurs, is not investing back into our people, investing back in our company, because eventually you and I want to retire and play golf, man. I don't want to be adjusting claims all my life. And unless I start doing that more consistently, I'm never going to get it. It's like a hamster wheel. You never get out of the damn thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about, getting clear on exactly what you want with your life and your business. Like that's so key. I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something there, but I forget.
One of my last questions here, dude, this thing is social media and marketing. Dude, I started doing this in 1989. I had a pager and a roll of quarters in my pickup truck and a yellow notepad. Before faxes, before any of this stuff.
That's awesome,
dude. Yeah. Yeah. And my first cell phone was about as big as my desk in the back of my truck. But I'll tell you what, the last few years, it's become such a thing. How the hell are you able to keep up with just the changes and ongoing and dude, there's LinkedIn and there's Instagram and there's Facebook and there's always Alignable now is blowing my phone up. I mean, dear God, how do you, you know what I mean? How do you just sit there and go, I'm guessing you have different programs for each guy, right? So how do you know what to fit and how do you keep up with the growth and just to keep all this stuff in line?
Man, I'll be honest, I don't like, it's so hard. Like, right. So TikTok is a great example. Like
Yeah.
it's huge. It's awesome. We post a video a week on there. We're working on, with my kind of marketing assistant, working on, doing more consistently there. And there's this temptation to be everywhere. Right.
Yes.
But you've also got to temper that with some reality. And if, I'm a big Gary V fan, I'm sure, Gary
Yep.
V, like Gary's like, yeah, he's always like, it's not, or it's, and you gotta be doing this and that, and that. Well, you've also got to remember that Gary has a team of 30 plus people that work on team Gary, not his agency, just his team. So there's a little bit of context there. So you gotta balance it with reality. Right. So my whole thing is like, figure out where your audience is, where your market is, and go deep on, one or two channels. Right. And just be consistent there. Like, it's better to go deep on one or two than be shallow, post once a week on 10 different things. And so figuring out what your market is, for some that might be LinkedIn, for most, a lot is Facebook, Instagram,
Yep.
Sure. TikTok, maybe for recruiting and kind of building your culture and building your team.
And
Maybe not as many property owners, older people right now, but it is trending upward. But yeah, just finding your lane and just like going all in on that. Like, that's just as in business, right? It's like, you can do roofing and siding and solar and windows and doors and all this stuff, and like, you're going to be okay at most of them. But if you just focus on roofing or commercial roofing, then you're going to be amazing at it. So it's a similar concept. Don't try to keep up. But yeah, like, I mean, Gary V is a great example of someone to follow. As far as like, what's going on, what the future is, and that sort of thing.
So, funny story, we started doing TikTok a few months ago, and I get a call, I don't know, 6 weeks ago. One of my kids, U of A professors, followed me on TikTok and had a roof loss, and we signed some $200,000. Yeah.
No way. That is
I'm
so
like,
cool.
What?
Yeah.
How'd you find us? Because it was a Tucson, U of A is about 250 miles south there. She goes, oh yeah, your daughter was in one of my poli-sci classes. I'm the professor, and I saw you on TikTok, and I have this roof claim. And I'm like, what? I mean, if you'd have told me this 10 years ago,
right,
I'd be like, what in the living hell are you talking about, lady? It's amazing.
Right.
Like the power is so, I don't think people understand the power of like Facebook. Dude, it can ruin you or make you great. And it's just one bad day can, you know what I mean? It sucks.
Yeah, or one bad client, like, which is why we focus so much on our client experience and fulfillment, because I mean, number one, you want every client to win, but number two, that like, you screw up in the wrong way, and someone puts you on blast on social media, and that's like it's gonna be tough. And that being like, that's awesome about the TikTok, like,
crazy.
And people might be out there being like, oh, TikTok's, I'm killing on TikTok. That's great. Like, the abundant world that we live in these days, it's like, you can kill it anywhere, as long as you commit to it, right? Like, you just need to be a student of that, know how the channel works, know when to post, know how to look at your data, know how to analyze and adjust what you're doing, right? Test different things out. So you've really got to be a student of whatever channel you're on. But yeah, it can be anything you want.
Yeah, my kids make fun of me because I'm like, I plan the stuff out and I go through it and I write a little thing on my phone, like what I'm going to kind of hit the highlights, and then I'll go in the backyard and I'm walking around filming this. My kids are like, what the hell's, you're some old man doing these stupid videos. I'm like, but guys, we live in North Scottsdale and you have really nice cars and we have nice stuff. This is why I do this. I'm like, okay, Dad, that's cool. So it's kind of around our house, so.
Yeah, you got to tie it into, what's how does it benefit them? What's in it for them?
Like, here's your free education. Here's my stupid Facebook video that paid for it. So thank you very much.
I love it.
Yeah.
What a world we live in. Like, I mean, think about that. Like, you're not driving. I mean, I know you do a ton of driving, but like, think about maybe not how much easier, but how much more opportunity there is just because you're able to reach like so many people from your backyard. Like that's amazing.
Dude, it's insane. So we're licensed in 38 states, and we have work in about 26 of them right now. And I bet 90% of it is from our Facebook stuff and like that's what it's from. People, you do a good job, and I get tagged all the time. I'm looking for a PA in Ohio, and somebody will like, hey, Jack Hanks is there, and it's such a powerful tool that I don't think if we could ever fully figure it out, it's literally it's like a freight train. It's unstoppable if you do it right. But then, like I said, the downfall is you have a bad day and you do a shitty job for somebody, man, you're going to get railed on that thing in about 6 seconds. And that's you got to be ready. You got to expect that, right? And be ready for it. So
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
We'll get ready. It's been an hour already, dude. I cannot believe it, man. These things go so fast.
Seriously.
I know. So one thing I always ask my people here is I don't want you to go back to change anything, but if you could grab that dude in a boat scraping barnacles off a tugboat and give them any advice whatsoever that you've learned the last 25 30 years, what would you tell that kid when he's 14 scraping barnacles that you could that you've learned and some wisdom that you like to pass along to a young Joseph back then?
All right, so I would say be open and get around people that can, help you on your journey, right? Like, don't try to figure out everything on your own. And when you're, around those people that are maybe where you want to go, be open, be transparent, be vulnerable, because that's the only way that you're going to get help. And specifically the first few years when I started out in this business in Contractor Dynamics, I was like, well, this business is unique. What I'm doing is unique. Like, I got to figure everything out on my own. Like I got to, make my own roadmap. And I struggled the first few years, like didn't make much money. I was like, just, running into brick walls. And I finally got into my first kind of entrepreneur community a few years later, hired a business coach. He ended up becoming a partner of mine for a little while. But that was when I was like, oh, like, yeah, there's people that are, like 10 times bigger than I am right now that I can learn from.
Sure.
And, I say it all the time, like, life is too short to make all the mistakes that we need to make on our own. Right. So why not leverage the experience of others? And through social media, like we have access, like we're, I'm in New Jersey, you're in Arizona, we're talking shop here. Like we're able to, have access to people that we can help and who can help us. So yeah, don't try to figure it out all on your own. Just get around people that are going to support you and that can kind of guide you. And then you can pay that forward and you can guide others and have an impact on others as well.
Yeah, because we've made all the mistakes, right? And we've already gone through the mill and made all those mistakes. If I can help someone avoid just a few of those pitfalls, man, it's well worth it, because we all got our asses kicked in, along the way. So
yeah, you look at some of those things in the past, like, all right, well, getting my ass kicked here or there, like, I had to go through that, it kind of shaped who I am. But there are definitely other times, honestly, where I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not have gone through that. Like that was like unnecessary suffering, right? There's like,
amen.
There's pain or there's problems, but then there's suffering. Like there's no reason to suffer, so.
That's great advice, man. How do potential clients get a hold of you? What's the best way?
All right. Our website's Contractor Dynamics. And through that, you can check out all of our socials. We have a podcast called Nailed It. It's Nailed It, the Business of Construction. You can go check out our YouTube channel, Contractor Dynamics YouTube. We publish a couple videos every week, educational interviews and things like that. So yeah, just kind of that, get some education and, get a feel for like, what we're all about. And then, from there, you can always reach out to us if you want, but I would start there with some content.
Very cool, man. And once again, dude, I from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that podcast 2 years ago from my
yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, I swear to God, it's I told Nick that and he goes, "You're kidding me." I'm like, yeah, I'm going to tell him on that podcast when we have him on, because I never thought about doing it because I'm not shy at all, believe me, but I never, it's just putting that effort forward to do that. And it takes 2 minutes. It's not like it's rocket science,
right?
And you just got to do it. And then every time it gets better and better and better. And here I am, like I said, we got all this cool stuff now because of that one little podcast we did in the backyard during the
That
pandemic.
is so cool. That's
Yeah, dude.
awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I was on the phone with Nick this morning. We were talking about like he wants his sales reps to go out and do more of it. So we're gonna start figuring out how to help them do that.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, dude, I so appreciate everything. Thank you for everything, and you guys are great. I've heard nothing but all the clients that use you guys are just over the top with performance, and you're doing a great job. So I can't thank you enough for being part of it, man. So
awesome. Well, I've had a blast, Jack. Thanks so much for having me on. Good to connect again, and hopefully I'll see you soon at one of these events these days.
You got it, my brother. Once again, Jack Hanks, Because Experience Matter podcast. Look for us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Amazon Music, iTunes. We're pretty much Spotify. We're everywhere, man. So we really appreciate it. So peace out.
Thanks for tuning in to the Because Experience Matters podcast. That's all for today's show. If you want to learn more or work with Jack in person, visit www.thejackhanks.com. Oh, and don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify to continue to grow the podcast and change the industry.